At least 19 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes on Nasser Hospital in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis, including 4 journalists.
Serbia's President Aleksandar Vučić tells Euronews his government remains committed to dialogue to end protests that have gripped the country. Germany pledges to provide Ukraine with €9 billion annually over the next few years, Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil said during a visit to Kyiv.
At least 19 people were killed by an Israeli strike on the Nasser Hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis in Gaza. Among those killed were journalists and media workers for major outlets, including Al Jazeera, the Associated Press, Reuters, and NBC. The AP says one of its freelancers, Mariam Abu Da'a, was killed by the strike. She had been working for the U.S. news agency covering the latest from the ground since Israel launched its offensive on the enclave 22 months ago. Al Jazeera has confirmed its journalist Mohammed Salama's death. It's another major blow for the Doha-based broadcaster who lost their correspondent Anas al-Sharif just weeks ago in a deliberate Israeli strike on his tent earlier this month. Reuters confirmed that its camera operator, Hussam al-Masri, was also killed in the attack. NBC did not immediately comment on the death of its journalist in the Strip, Muaz Abu Taha, whose death has also been confirmed. It also comes after a joint statement in July between the AP, Reuters, AFP, and BBC News, which urged Israeli authorities to protect journalists in Gaza. The Israel-Hamas war has been one of the bloodiest conflicts for journalists in recent times. The Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 192 Palestinian journalists have been killed so far.
At least 6 people were killed and dozens more injured after Israeli airstrikes hit the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. Israel's military said it struck Yemen's Azar and Hizaz power plants, calling them a significant electricity supply facility for military activities. Residents of the capital said they heard explosions close to a closed military academy and the presidential palace. The attack comes days after the Houthi rebels fired a missile towards Israel that its military described as the first cluster bomb that rebels had launched at it since 2023. The Houthis have launched missiles and drones towards Israel and targeted ships in the Red Sea for more than 22 months, saying they were attacking out of solidarity with Palestinians and the ongoing war in Gaza. Deputy head of the Houthi media office, Nasruddin Ammar, said attacks on Israel would continue until military operations in Gaza stopped.
In an exclusive interview with Euronews on Monday, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić stressed that his government remains committed to dialogue to end protests that have gripped the country.
This was not my first call. Actually, it was my, 5th or 6th call for a dialogue, for an open conversation. But what was the difference this time? I offered something that I saw because they reacted swiftly, but in a way nervously. I don't know why. I offered them even an open TV debate. They can pick the premise. They can pick the studio. I'll be able to go wherever they say. People are going more and more against protesters. People are fed up with blockades. People are fed up with violence that was happening in particular in the recent weeks.
The protesters are now calling for a snap election. Is there going to be one? Is this something that you think could move things forwards?
We wanted to fulfill all their requirements, all their requests, all their demands. And I was referring to them, saying, okay, we are doing it, we are doing that, we did that. Are you happy with that? They were saying, no, we continue with this. Now this is bigger than us, bigger than you. Okay. I said then, okay, you want to go for a referendum against myself? I'm ready to go within 2 days. They were saying, no, that's a treason, that's a betrayal. If someone accepts it, we don't go, we are not politicians, we don't need politics. After that, I was offering elections. They were also saying the same. After 6 months.
Vučić also asserted that Serbia's path to full European Union membership remains his top priority, despite criticism over Belgrade remaining on cordial terms with Moscow and seeking partnership with the likes of Beijing.
All our obligations regarding till I leave the place, Serbia will remain very firmly on EU path, committed and dedicated to that path, conducting and implementing necessary reforms. But there are some other things that we can do together, which is unique market, which is region without real frontiers, without real borders, without any obstacles for trading or flowing capital, people, whatever. This is something that we need to accomplish before we get closer to EU. There are a lot of stuff to be done for us, and I'm very much aware of that.
You've said that you've no doubts it has a European future.
Yes.
Can I ask you to give a direct message, one to the Serbian people and one to the European audiences? You know, what will Serbia win from joining? What will the EU gain from you being part of the EU?
I know thousands of things which we gonna gain joining the EU. And it's not only economy. Politically, I think that Serbia can get many things, can get long-term stability, safety and security as well, can guarantee to its people peace for many decades, which is of an utmost importance,
Yes.
and also observance and respect of basic democratic and human rights.
German Finance Minister and Vice-Chancellor Lars Klingbeil arrived in Ukraine on Monday, announcing Berlin will provide Ukraine with €9 billion annually in the coming years. During a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Klingbeil vowed the German government would not duck out of security guarantees for Ukraine.
Ich will noch mal betonen, dass ich der festen Überzeugung bin, dass die Menschen in der Ukraine sich den Frieden wünschen und wahrscheinlich niemand so sehr wie die Menschen in der Ukraine. Und trotzdem dürfen wir nicht naiv sein. Und deswegen das Szenario, der Krieg geht weiter, ist aus deutscher Sicht jetzt ein Stück weit auch damit finanziell abgesichert, dass wir auch in der mittelfristigen Finanzplanung die militärische Unterstützung für die Ukraine bei 8,5 Milliarden fest, plus eben die weiteren Mittel, sodass wir auf 9 Milliarden im Haushalt kommen. Das ist festgeschrieben.
Klingbeil also met with Ukraine's finance minister, Sergei Marchenko, to discuss securing sufficient financial resources for Ukraine in 2026. According to the latest records, Germany has provided €50 billion in direct budget support to Ukraine since 2022. On Sunday, Germany and Norway announced they will jointly fund 2 Patriot air defense systems for Ukraine. Russian attacks against Ukraine killed 2 people and injured 33 others over the past day, regional authorities said on Monday. Ukraine's Air Force reported that around 76 out of 104 drones, including Shahed-type attack drones and decoys, launched by Russia overnight were downed. The attack was part of a large-scale assault on the border areas of the Sumy region, local officials said.
12 ночі почалось. Дома ми спали, а то потім почалися прильоти. І от у нас одній двір. Якраз пряме попадання. І зразу криша зайнялася, вікна полетіли, ми двері повиривали, ми єлі вискочили. Телефон згорів, паспорт згорів, документи, все в хаті вигоріли, абсолютно все, не осталося нічого.
The attacks came as Ukraine marked its declaration of independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. Meanwhile, Ukrainian authorities on Monday claimed Russia has lost over 1 million troops in Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion. According to the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces, the number includes 870 casualties that Russian forces suffered over the past day.
For the first time in over a decade, snow unexpectedly coated the Polish Tatra Mountains in August. It happened as the temperature in the mountainous region dropped to negative 2.9 degrees Celsius overnight into Sunday. The snow was accompanied by fog and strong winds as cold Arctic air moved into Poland. The trade agreement between the European Union and the United States could have consequences for road safety in Europe. This is the warning issued by NGOs following the joint declaration published last week by the two partners. For automobiles, the text refers to mutual recognition of each other's standards. However, the associations point out that safety standards differ widely between European and American cars.
We've now got technologies like automated emergency braking, we have pedestrian protection tests, we have lane keeping assistance systems. Those are just three examples of technologies which are mandatory in Europe and not mandatory in the US.
With this trade agreement, Washington hopes to export more US standard vehicles to Europe. The NGO's other concern is the effect this compromise will have on manufacturers in Europe. The various manufacturers could be tempted to denounce a situation of unfair competition and criticize European regulations.
All the other manufacturers, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Koreans, and the other European manufacturers who produce in Europe will be saying, well, if they have to meet only the US standard and we have to meet the European standard, it's not going to be fair. There's going to be unfair competition, and then there'll just be huge pressure to level down Europe's own standards.
In support of these concerns, NGOs say that over the last few decades, road accidents have increased in the US, while the higher safety standards in Europe are forcing accident numbers down.